Okay, folks. Hello. It's time for the South Florida hour here on the Inspiring Workplaces Inspirathon. I'm sure you're all having a great day so far. I'm Shea Heaver. I'll be your host for the next hour or so, and I'm also the Chief Inspiration Officer for Inspire Miami. Absolutely delighted to be here with you today as part of a local community in South Florida that is part of the Inspiring Workplaces global community. We hope to impart some inspiration, knowledge, ideas, and anything that can help you inspire other people and your workplaces and become a better place to work. We want to help you create your own inspiring workplaces in 2023 and beyond. And I personally would like to invite anyone in the South Florida area to look us up and join us if you haven't done so already. As others have mentioned, this is a live event, but it is also being recorded and will be on demand. Don't forget to ask questions and provide feedback in the comments section throughout all of the talks. And please also join the conversation on our Slack channel, where you can meet fellow inspirers and participants of the Inspirathon. You can share who you are, where you are, and what you do as we continue to grow this global community. Now, apart from the presenters and speakers, everyone else has been muted, so we won't be able to hear you speak or drink your coffee or whatever else you want to do. Okay, now that I've reiterated the event information, back to the good stuff. I've already listened to a number of enlightening and interesting people on here today, and I'm happy to say Inspire Miami and South Florida are about to give you a couple of great presentations and a couple of great speakers. But you'll meet them after me, because right now I want to take 15 minutes or so to talk to you about the importance of making people feel valued at work. Now, if we can start the presentation. This is actually a topic I heard Perry Timms talk about for about 20 minutes earlier today. He was one of the first presentations I turned into, and I've heard it mentioned throughout a few more presentations since then, so it must be important. The question I want to ask is, should businesses, departments, or even small teams throughout any organization really care about making their employees feel valued and raising their self-esteem? Or is it more important for them to focus on timelines, budgets, quality of work, policies, share prices, etc.? You know, all those things that get talked about in boardrooms and stockholder meetings are quietly spoken about in corridors. Well, yes, they absolutely should be. When a person feels valued and their self-esteem is at a high level, they become more motivated, engaged, and dedicated. And surely a more motivated, engaged, and dedicated team, and indeed an entire workforce, will accomplish their tasks and jobs within those stated timelines and budgets. They will produce high quality work and will adhere to business or regulatory policies. And hence, they will make the business more profitable and successful. Now, all of this occurs because the participants feel good about themselves in the workplace. A study by the American Psychological Association a number of years ago found that a whopping 93% of employees who feel valued at work say they are motivated to do their best. It's a staggering number. That alone will help ensure that work gets done on time, within budget, and of high quality. Only 20%, that's just 1 in 5 of the employees who feel valued were planning to look for a new job. There's loyalty there. While half of those who didn't feel valued were looking to move on. So it gives loyalty a massive boost, while helping the bottom line in the business also, because we are all acutely aware of the high cost of turnover and what goes into bringing new talent into the organization. And no workplace presentation is complete without a reference to employee engagement, that little buzzword that everybody likes to throw around. And again, if you look at the slide, according to the APA, 88% of the employees who feel valued say that they are engaged. So if the business case is there that when employees feel valued, then the organization will benefit. Oops. But there's much more to it than simply contributing to a business's success. When people feel valued, their own sense of self-esteem and self-worth receives a huge boost. There are various experts, various research papers, and various studies that have indicated that people with high self-esteem, they are happier, they are healthier, both physically and mentally. They are much more productive, and in general, they are much more successful in various aspects of life. So what is high self-esteem? What is self-worth? Why are they important? Self-esteem is how we evaluate and feel about ourselves, and is usually heavily influenced by our surroundings and our circumstances. For example, it can be affected by what we do well and what we know we can be better at. It can be affected by the feedback and the information we get from others. It can be about whether or not we meet our own goals and expectations. It can be about whether what we do and what we say makes sense to ourselves and to others. Self-esteem is usually somewhat fluid and will change based on ongoing events and the situations that we find ourselves in. Now, self-worth is a little different. It's a little broader, and it's the longer-term evaluation and recognition of our own value. But while that feeling comes from within, it too can be influenced by how we react to external factors, challenges, opportunities, and relationships. High self-esteem and self-worth occur when we're in a state of contentment or happiness. They can be positively impacted when A, we feel valued by others for what we do, and B, when we feel we bring value to others by what we do. So in some cases, it's a little bit like a two-way street. For anyone at all who is interested in high performance and productivity levels, whether it's your own or someone else, such as a coworker, your children, your family, you need to be interested in the self-esteem and self-worth of that person. I know everyone is on mute, but I'd be curious to know how many have ever heard of the Junto. It's also sometimes referred to as the Leather Apron Club. And yes, that certainly is an old picture. But certainly old long time ago. So let's talk at this. Benjamin Franklin knew that high self-esteem was important as far back as the early 18th century, 1772 to be a little precise. Not only was Franklin a writer, a philosopher, a scientist, and of course one of the founding fathers of the United States, he also helped establish a club of mutual improvement called the Junto. You heard that right, a mutual improvement club. Can you imagine that? In the 18th century, no less, a club of mutual improvement. Now, the members of the Junto were from diverse occupations and backgrounds. They would meet usually on a Friday night to discuss topics such as morals, politics, philosophy, and business matters of the day. The underlying objective, however, was to improve themselves, each other, and their community. They would look to encourage others, effectively raising the self-esteem of whoever they could within their community. They used to ask each other a bunch of questions. I believe there's about 25 or 27 questions. But one question that used to get asked at the regular meeting was, do you know of any fellow citizen who has lately done a worthy act deserving of praise? That way they could recognize and acknowledge those who had done good. Absolutely stunning. Another question asked was if any member knew of any deserving young beginner whom it lies in the power of the Junto in any way to encourage. They wanted to help others do well for themselves and succeed. Again, fantastic, especially in the 18th century. And even to protect others in their community, they would ask, have you lately heard any member's character attacked, and how have you defended it? You see, a lot of what Franklin's Junto Club did was focused around boosting and helping other people, asking each other to go out and better themselves by helping each others. Now, I'm going to pause the presentation for a second, if Stefan or somebody can just do that. All right, we're going to get back to the history lesson in a second, or we'll probably bring it to an end. But I want to remind everybody, Benjamin Franklin is also on the front of every crisp new $100 bill that's in circulation today. Now, if I walked along Miami Beach or Las Olas Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, or I walked through Times Square in New York, or Rodeo Drive out in Beverly Hills, in fact, if I was in pretty much any city or town in the United States and I offered 10 people this crisp $100 bill, I can say with a fair degree of certainty, all 10 would want it. But if I were to crumple it and crush it in my hand, and then I asked those same 10 people, or a different 10 people, if they wanted it, what do you think their answer would be? My guess is every single one of them would still want it. And let's imagine for a second, I actually toss it on the ground, kind of stomp on it. I'm actually going to just walk away and abandon it. What's going to happen then? I'm pretty darn sure every person would still reach down and pick it up. In fact, there might be a bit of a scuffle to get at it. And why is that? Well, can we pull the presentation back up? The reason people still go after that $100 bill is because it's still worth $100. Doesn't matter what shape it's in, it's still worth $100. Throughout life, you, me, and everyone else, whether in the workplace or our personal lives, has at times felt crushed, felt stepped on, felt abandoned. Sometimes it's due to a thoughtless, insensitive word by somebody. It can also be caused by a deliberately callous or heartless act by someone. And sometimes it's just circumstances and plain old bad luck. But here's the thing. You should never doubt your self-worth, and you should certainly never doubt the self-worth of others. And that's a crucial element when building an inspiring workplace. An inspiring workplace, after all, is one where leaders, managers, supervisors, frontline workers, everybody treats each other with respect. It's an organization where everyone appreciates what everybody else brings to the job. And it's where employees strive to make others in their team feel valued, feel good about themselves, and feel they are special. Because when people feel special, they act special. Leadership qualities and behaviors, such as making people feel valued and raising their self-esteem, don't just belong to those with a title or those in a position of authority within the business. It's much bigger. It's much more important than that. Yes, those kinds of things should certainly come from your boss or supervisor, but they must also come from you, your colleagues, your family, your friends, or whomever. This is everybody's job. Leadership is a job of everybody. Now, when you help boost someone's self-worth and self-esteem, is it at the expense of your own self-worth, self-esteem? Is it like if I take that $100 bill from earlier and I give you 25 of it? Now, my initial $100 is now only 75. In other words, my financial worth has dropped, diminished. It's become less than it was. That's not how it is when you try to increase someone else's self-value, self-esteem, and self-worth. There's an old saying that a lit candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. In fact, there are now 2 lit candles. The room is a little more illuminated. You can probably do more. And in general, it's now a better place. Making someone feel valued and boosting their self-esteem can be done with little or no expense to you. Save maybe a moment of your time. So what can we all do to help others? What can we do to boost self-esteem? What can we do to make people feel valued? How can we help pick others up? First of all, I'm going to tell you that the most critical element is to ensure that whatever actions you take or whatever words you speak to the other person, they're meaningful. It's important to them that it's meaningful. There is an old saying, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's frequently referred to as the golden rule, or sometimes called the ethic of reciprocity. And it is an admirable concept. It's a concept that champions a two-way, reciprocal, and mutual relationship between 2 or more parties. And I spoke earlier about the club of mutual appreciation. But it has a fundamental flaw that is actually augmented in the business place. When you go to do that, what if the person doesn't want to be treated the same as you? What if they are driven by different motivational factors than you are? What if a different set of criteria makes them feel valued at work than the criteria you use to feel valued at work? The key here is to, rather than generalize what you're going to do or what you're going to say, don't generalize based on your ideas of something. Personalize it and get it right in the eyes of the other person. In other words, do unto others as they would like to be done unto them. So let's look at an example. One great way to make people feel valued is by giving them recognition for a job well done. There are books and papers and experts will talk about this all day. But you have to be careful how you do it. Some people really like to be publicly acknowledged in, say, a team meeting, company newsletter, just something out on their Twitter, whatever it may be. But somebody who's more introverted may find this very uncomfortable, and they would much prefer a quieter word of thanks or perhaps a handwritten thank you note. Some people like gift cards. Others would much rather have a day off or even just a half day. And here's a good one. Sometimes people get rewarded for a job well done by being given something more exciting or prominent to work on. At least it's more prominent and exciting in the mind of the manager or supervisor who thinks they are doing a good deed for somebody. Okay. But what if that person is really happy? What if they already love doing the job that they do? They know they're good at it. It gives them satisfaction that they can repetitively do it. They're actually going to find that as a put down. They might start looking for another job. We have taken what was a good intention and turned it into something negative. So again, be cognizant of what the recipient wants. Remember, personalize, don't generalize. Let's talk about feedback for a moment. And again, I've heard people talk about feedback today. And again, there's many people much more educated than me that can talk to you on this. It is a fantastic tool in any manager's arsenal. It provides a great mechanism to engage with the employees and help them succeed. Yet it's very underused and in some cases actually abused by far too many managers and organizations as a whole. Too often, it is left until there is something negative to discuss. Really, it should be done on a regular and proactive occurrence. When this happens, it will result in the employees feeling more involved because you are giving them an opportunity to discuss workplace activities. They will be more motivated because you want to help them and the business get better. And yes, more valued because you are making or taking the time to talk with them about business ongoing. You're giving them your time. You want to speak to that person one-on-one. Proactive feedback is a way of letting someone know to what extent he or she is furthering the objectives of the business and by association, their own career. It's not about assigning blame, not about assigning criticism or passing judgment. It should never be associated with punishment. It should never be associated with a workplace power play. It shouldn't be an uncomfortable conversation, and it should never bring self-doubt into the mind of the recipient. And at the end of the day, feedback is about people. It's about you and the person you are giving feedback to or receiving feedback from. It's a two-way conversation about your needs, your ideas, your opinions, while respecting the needs, ideas, and opinions of the other person. It's about sharing information and the insights that help all parties to grow, leading to collaborative problem sharing. And by the way, I would suggest to everybody, go out and seek feedback whenever you can. I mean, take all the help you can get. If you can find somebody that will give you good feedback, sit on their shoulder, ask them, how did I do with this? And if it's somebody you can trust, you'll become a much better person. And finally, I want to talk for a moment about overall kindness and empathy. It is, after all, in my opinion, that's the simplest way to help people feel good about themselves, both in and out of work. First of all, make it habitual. We don't have to wait for an annual review or a quarterly team meeting or a monthly one-on-one with your manager or subordinate. You can make people feel valued 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, maybe 9 to 5 in the workplace, but you can do it anytime. When do you want to start? As our old friend Benjamin Franklin once said, never leave till tomorrow that which you can do today. Again, try and meet the needs of the individual. If you're in a management or supervisory role and can adjust somebody's work schedule so they can pick their kids up from school or can arrange for some training that they've asked for to advance their career, whatever it is that they want, try and do it. And if they don't come to you and tell you what you want, ask them. Okay. Even if you can't make it happen, and there will be times you can't make it happen, see if there's an alternative. Talk to them about that, something that works for them. They will appreciate and value that you tried on their behalf, and that will make them feel valued. It will also increase trust and your loyalty. Build relationships with those you work alongside each day. Again, without prying into anybody's private life, ask them how their weekend was. Have they seen the new movie that came out? How did their team do at the weekend or whatever? Ask them, is there anything they need or anything you can help them with? Honestly, it will make you and them feel so much better. When people believe in themselves and in others, great things happen. Fantastic things happen. both inside of work and outside of work. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up by saying that to build a better workplace, believe in yourself first. Believe in others. Okay, realize that you are uniquely special and help others realize that they are uniquely special. Try and build a culture within your team, department, or organization where you and your colleagues feel valued, where you have great workplace relationships. Just imagine what difference that will make to the quality of work and personal lives for everybody. It's staggering and it's easy to do. Folks, I want to thank you for listening to me today. If you do want to connect, please reach out via LinkedIn or drop me an email or find me on almost any social media network. Please also, if you live in our neck of the woods, South Florida, whether you're in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Boca Raton or Key West or anywhere in that area, please join Inspire Miami in South Florida. We have a lot of things that we want to do. We can only do it with everybody else's help.